sometimes what you think is your worst day can actually be your best day. So at the time, it felt like hell, but it turns out it actually wasn't my worst day. Because for the first time in my life, after Hawaii happened, I reached out, I raised my hand, and I surrendered. And I started asking for questions, or answers, I should say. I started asking the questions that I needed to ask. But the Hawaii story is worse than you think, because I had been divorced before. I have a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. I've been a chaplain in the Army, and I've helped hundreds of people, business owners, people in their personal lives. So I've helped all these hundreds of people. I've been around the Tony Robbins and the Dean Graciosis of the world. So how in the hell does a guy like that, who has all the theory and all the answers supposedly, end up in a situation like that? That question and the dark night of the soul that I went through and went searching for answers for myself. I never intended to write a book or talk about this kind of stuff. The last thing I wanted to talk about was the Hawaii experience. But in doing so, I found an answer. And by that I mean literally what I've learned is that self-help, personal development, psychology, religion, they're all great. They're amazing. The great majority of the time, though, they're dealing with symptoms, not the core answer. And what I learned is if you go all the way upstream and keep asking until you get upstream and get to the root, there's actually just a couple foundational laws. And when you get centered on those laws, everything else plays itself out, which is what led to this book, The Answer, audaciously titled The Answer, right? And I was actually going to change the title, but a couple of people told me, dude, you can't, because it is the answer, okay? In marketing, we'd call that a big, bold claim, because it sounds audacious. You're suggesting there's an answer, and it's not my answer, right? And I am suggesting there is actually a core foundational law. And when I say law, I mean law, right? So even like the law of gravity, that's relative. If I go on the moon, gravity doesn't work. So that's even relative. So when I say law, I'm talking about things that doesn't matter if you're in Pluto or 7,000 feet under the ocean, they work. And as the subtitle there says, from a scientific standpoint and from a spiritual standpoint, these laws have been taught by every spiritual master from Buddha to Jesus for thousands of years, and scientists today would agree with them.